Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 12.2 GaM session. We are going to talk about a lot of amazing stuff. Click the link above somewhere if you haven't watched the last episode. I'll put it up later. But oh my God, we are ready to go, ready to get into all the amazing stuff that we were speaking about. So, do you want me to say the second point that I wanted to say in the last video, and then we can jump into your,
Yeah.
or do you want to kind of talk about your understanding of what we did?
You can go first.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I wanted to talk a bit more about the fact that we need joy and we need pain both in equal understand or in like equal balance of it, almost, mostly because of the fact that um you know, I was watching this show. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I would honestly recommend it because it's like one of the best shows ever made. It's called The Good Place. And which is all about getting into the good place, right? Which is heaven or whatever you would like to call it. And in that, gee, I don't know if you're aware, remember it, but it's like, you know, the good place is like overhyped on the good stuff to the point that people are just like walking around almost in that brain dead kind of a scenario where they're like, where are we don't care, who are we, like, you know, it's just like if everything goes on without an end to it, it becomes meaningless, you know. Which is why I feel that is the exact same thing with pleasure. If there is too much pleasure, if there's too much happiness, and I know this sounds like very kind of controversial or very weird, but it is important to know that we need pain to kind of bring us back into the human reality that we are experiencing right now. We need both in equals, almost. Yeah, so I was just like, and I feel like a lot of us have this conscious or subconscious thought, right? Like if you're having too much fun, that means something bad's gonna happen soon. It's almost like, oh my God, I feel like there are two aspects of it. One is the realization that there is never good in all its entirety, and there's never bad in all its entirety. It's always in this flow state of coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. And the second point is that the subconscious thought oftentimes brings us out of the pleasure way too quickly because we are scared of the pain. We're scared of, oh my God, something's bad going to happen. I can't enjoy this, which is again something that was happening in that back and fro that was happening in my mind back then when I was driving around. You know, it's like, I love this. Oh no, something's bad gonna happen. I need to get home as well. So amazing. Something bad gonna. So yeah, I feel like we need to understand both exist in their own space, in their own presence, and in their own time. Yeah, words are not as powerful as they were in the last video. This is like,
No,
yeah.
I feel like that makes sense. And I feel like there's a lot I want to like touch on that. Because I do believe that pain is just as important as like happiness and pleasure and joy, because we need one to see the other. We need the death, we need the pain, we need all of it. And the reason I say death specifically is because when you think of music, right, when you think of a song, it would be annoying if it was just one note. A note needs to die in order for the melody to be beautiful. We, as humans, we love a good challenge. We love feeling accomplished. We love enduring, right? We love coming out on top. We subscribed to this reality because we are in love with the hero's journey. We came from a place of complete and absolute abundance, where everything already was and we felt it all. And then we said, I want to try and make that myself. I want to try and see what that would feel like to have that resistance, to have that challenge, right? And that's why we came here. We chose to come here because we said, when we have those challenges, we reveal more of the light. And I want to see how I can affect in that way. And I feel like that's one point, right? So yes, we need both. Also, when you think of oh, this is going to be really hard to explain because I've only ever explained it like in my head. But when you think of this reality, right, we're in 3D, right? So let's think of a sphere. Okay. If this sphere wants to expand, it expands in all ways, right? It's not just going to expand here, right? That'd just be silly. The sphere is one whole, so it's going to expand together. So that is why, in order to feel this goodness that's over here, we need to feel this pain over here. And that way we expand as a whole rather than expanding in one way or another. And then we feel contorted, we feel pulled and stretched in all directions. This sphere is homeostasis in biology, right? This is our present state where our body is in complete and utter chemical and emotional and physical bliss, because it's neutral. Neutrality is where we sit, where we want to sit. Homeostasis is where our body is most comfortable. And that is why we often ask ourselves, like, is it bad that I feel so good? Like, why do I feel like something bad's going to happen? It's because your homeostasis, your sphere, might have grown more into pain. And the second you start feeling that goodness, you're like, but I'm used to this. So I need to return back to this instead of this, right? So when we expand our goodness bucket, our bucket, or our my hair bucket,
bucket.
When we feel our bucket, our vessel expand with that goodness, it's going to feel that uncomfortable, that pull, that doubt of our old community, right? Like we said in the other video, like our old community didn't do things this way. We feel this way most of the time. We have to bring ourselves back. We have to doubt this specific thing because we don't know what it is, and it feels really, really good, and I'm scared. And that's okay. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel worried and anxious about what's to come, even if it's good. I feel like that's a lot of things a lot of people don't talk about. Like, doing big things in this world is terrifying. We've literally burned people at the stake and murdered them for doing big things. And then we praise them 100 years later, saying that they were revolutionists and we love them for what they did. Right? So it's scary. It's embedded in us. And that's where I'm going to touch on the DNA thing. It's embedded within us to feel the information and energy that has been passed down to us, and also that is already all around us. So when we think about DNA, and you said this really, really well, where the DNA that we have from our ancestors gets passed along with information. That's entirely true. And a lot of this, I believe, is because, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when someone is pregnant, and they have a woman, right? They have a female in their bodies. Their ovaries are formed 3 months into the pregnancy or something, or like 6 months into the pregnancy, right? So the baby inside the mother that is female has all the eggs that she will be born with, meaning you spent 3 months inside of your grandma. Okay. On your mom's side. Okay. Saying that, there's an experiment that has been done where they got the first generation of mice, and they like did things so they would be terrified of this like cherry blossom, right? So they would like whip it, electrocute it. I don't know what they did, but they made it afraid of the cherry blossom. The next generation just wouldn't go near it. They started developing allergies towards it, and so they would just not go near it. And then the next generation was absolutely terrified of it. Just seeing it, they would run away. That's exactly how I feel like people over romanticize trauma in the spiritual community, and that we have to like, oh, this is all we need to focus on. It's like, no. Like, this is a really great example of how traumatic experiences can lead us into stepping away from specific things without us really knowing why, right? Like, I don't know why I'm afraid of these things, but I am, so I'm going to stay away from them. And like you said, like, well, maybe my ancestors were just night watchers, and they were able to make sure that the whole village or community was able to sleep well, and that's why I'm a night owl. That makes sense. We quite literally get information and energy passed on to us through DNA. DNA holds information. And when you realize that everything is energy and energy never gets destroyed, then everything that our body observes through its senses is information that we're intaking and that our brains are deciphering and trying to calculate to help us in this specific time in our lives to move our bodies into a specific place, right? And then our spirit knows, like we have spiritual wisdom that knows, like I know where I need to go and what I need to do. And I think the trouble that we have a lot of the time is telling the difference between what our body is saying, what our spirit is saying, and being able to like come to a conclusion altogether, and acting from a place of intention, and yeah, just from a place of intention with our body on board, and being able to receive what we need to receive in order to share what we need to share. Okay, that's fine.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
that was a lot.
That was a lot. And honestly, I love it. Especially, you know, it took me a few seconds to actually understand that I was there in my grandma's womb. Like I was there. Like I was just like, huh?
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it took a while to set in, but when it did, I was just like, God damn it, that's so dope. And and yeah, and I feel like we need to understand this, you know. I feel like a lot of times we are like ancestral this and ancestral that. We need to understand that there are like a lot of people that we come from, you know. It's not just one side of the family. Like I can't just look at my mom's side of the family and be like, oh, maybe I'm afraid of heights because of this particular reason, or I can't look at my dad's side of the family, or maybe I'm afraid of depth because of this reason. There is so much that we get, and there is information that I feel like oftentimes it's repressed until it shows up for one individual, you know. With even when you learn about DNA and genetics, I don't remember if you did that cross kind of a thing with P's and genetics. So if one is capital R and one is smaller, then the kids are like either R, like, you know, that kind of a stuff that we used to do.
Like the blue, like, well, they have blue eyes or brown eyes, and brown eyes are more dominant kind of thing.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean to say that, you know, someone might not be brown, you know, that might not end up having blue eyes down in the generation, if because that genetic of having blue eyes can still exist. And when someone marries someone else who has blue eyes, there is a possibility of those two mixing together and giving a kid with blue eyes, even though everyone in their family has had brown eyes for like ages on one side of the family. So I feel like we need to understand that oftentimes what shows up for us might not show up for our parents, or might not show up for our elders. It might be stuff that has been passed along for a pretty long time, which is why we also have this sense of we need to break the cycle, you know, because maybe it didn't affect our parents as much as it does us, or maybe it did, but not to the extent that it does for us. Maybe it's this along with all the stuff that has happened from this side of the family and that side of the family, and all of that brought together and cultivated into ourselves. So I feel like we need to understand that if we have gotten this opportunity to work on it and break the cycle, it just cleans the slate so that we can create new trauma for our kids. Like, you know, we need to do that. Guys, get
it's
into
necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like a funny way of saying it, but I love that you did, because it's so true.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that our reaction brings forth the trigger, right? And I feel like I said this before, either like when we're just talking or on this, but our emotional reaction, will bring forth the trigger, bring forth the challenge. So the reason we're being faced with so many challenges, so many different like tests and boss levels and habits to break, is because at some point, even generationally, they may have denied themselves consistently. Like, I don't care. I'm okay with keeping quiet. I'm okay with people overstepping. I'm okay with this. Like, I feel like I have to be okay with that because the light wasn't as strong as it is now. We have a new way of connecting with people that we hadn't in the past. People in the past had to deal with it on themselves, and they had a community around them, but that community often brings some sort of conformity, some sort of shame that brings forth conformity, right? So we've now noticed that our systems have been built on shame. They've been built on making sure people stay the same through shame, through the idea that you need to conform. Why are you being different? Gisella, why are you not married to a man? Why are you not like with 3 children right now? Like, there's these different things that like our brains are like, well, there was a specific plan and we didn't follow it. But a lot of our ancestors or our parents or our grandparents, they've said, this is the plan and I think I need to follow it because I don't know of anything bigger. And I think that's what the difference is now, is that we have access to things that are bigger and greater. We have access to books we didn't have access to in school. They don't allow specific books in school, but we can have access to them outside of it. I can go on Amazon and order any book I want, even if I wasn't allowed to read it in school, right? But in the past, they weren't able to do that. They didn't have Amazon. And I'm not saying go buy books on Amazon. I use thrift books because it's cheaper. But but like, we have different resources now that we haven't in the past. And we are allowed to use these resources as a tool for our unfoldment rather than our distraction. And that's why I believe our strength is the same as our weakness, and our weakness is on the same side of our strength, because we can literally, if we love something so much, then we can allow it to control us, right? That's two sides of the same coin. If we have something that can be our greatest resource, then we can also be in its clutches and allow it to use us as a tool for whatever algorithm it wants us to be part of, right? Or we can make sure that we understand what an algorithm is and adjust it accordingly to who we want to be, right? So I think it's important to remember that while we carry, all of this stuff here, we have been born in a specific time that we chose that will help us reveal more light by experiencing enriching things. And enriching isn't always beautiful. It isn't always like that one long note, that one happiness and pleasure. It's also all of the falls and the dips and the depths, because you're expanding. We're all expanding together, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like we need to talk about 3 things that I wanted to talk about from this is that I talk with a lot of immigrant people when it comes to talking about burnout, and they always speak about how everyone had a proper plan, like this is how you're supposed to live if you want to succeed in life. And that is something that a lot of our generation is kind of fighting against. Is like, no, I don't want to work in just one place for all my life, especially if it is a toxic environment. I have the ability to quit and open my own stuff. Like I have the ability to start my own thing. Cute.
I was like, what is he doing? Sorry, you're good.
No, it's good. I was also watching. It's like, huh, okay.
I know, I'm like, what are you doing?
So that is something that I wanted to touch upon is and also I feel like by default everyone has the ability to work on this stuff. It's just the matter of awareness. Like I have seen people who get into this game at 60 or 70 years of age, and I have seen people who are already spiritually inclined right from a very young age. Like we have a lot of saints that we kind of worship or we kind of look up to in India, and most of these saints have that spiritual inclination right from a very young age, where they are already aware. They're aware of a lot of things. So yeah, I feel like it's all about awareness. Like you have the opportunity to work on this, or you can leave it to the next generation. Kind of kind of like not my problem just to deal with, or you can work on it right now and create a life for yourself. Because I know, again, like you said, it's not just that one note of pleasure. There's a lot of stuff that happens in between that will terrify you, that will make you be, why am I doing this? Like, I was comfortable in my comfort zone. Why am I trying to get out and try to do something that doesn't make much sense right now? But that is exactly why, because you want to create not only a good life for yourself, but also the ones that come after you. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe legacy is a huge,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just huge because I never really thought of legacy very much because I was like, well, like, I don't know if I'm gonna have kids. I know that now, but like I never thought about it in a sense of like, what am I gonna leave behind? But then I realized like it's true. Like I think it was the last time we got together and spoke, that's what reminded me of like how important legacy is, because it's like, what is it that you leave behind? Like, are you going to make life harder or easier for the people that come next? Like, do you want people to suffer the way you suffered? And if that's yeah, like then you're kind of a terrible person, not gonna lie. Like that's kind of rude. Like,
Right.
wouldn't you want to have suffered so you can share all of the knowledge that you just learned? Like you learned so much, like it would be selfish to contain all of that light. And we're here to reveal more of it. We're here to make sure that other people feel as open and as knowledgeable and as a student and as a teacher as all of us. So yeah, I think that's really beautiful. Like, how can you, like, what color can you add to this world?
Yeah, and I love
that
that.
You never saw.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not even like we're pressurizing you to get into spiritual awareness and being woke right now. Like, no, that's not all it is about. You can choose to do this, Okay, if you think about it from the perspective of what am I leaving behind for my kids, a lot of us feel this immense sense of pressure on us that we have to have everything fixed. But right now, being spiritually awake, and this is something that I wanted to touch upon as well, that you were speaking about how what's a strength can also be our weakness. So spirituality can be our strength and our weakness. A lot of times it can get too much because of the fact that people want to get provide a clean slate to the next generation. But this is work that has been either happening or not happening for a lot of generations. You can't provide a clean slate right off the bat. All you can do right now, and this is what spiritual awakening actually means, is starting by cleaning at least one part of the slate, clearing out at least one part, so that your kids can continue to clear out the next plate. Their kids can continue to clear out. Maybe some things get added on, maybe some things get removed, but that's all it is about. It's about clearing, at least starting that process. It's not about, boom, I'm spiritually awakened, now my slate is clean, now I don't have to work on anything. No, your work, and this is something that Preston was saying the other day, he was like, you are never done with your work. The work always continues. It does. There is so much that I realize, and we speak about this so much. It's like we spoke about it in the last video, that when we pass an exam, we go into the next class learning the same subject, but at a wider understanding of it, right? It's like the next frequency of the same thing. That's why we have spoken about that so many times in this entire season, because I have that thing, but I keep moving up a rung every single time we have that conversation. And it's just clearing out the slate and making sure that the person that comes after you can continue to clear on that slate. Maybe add some things, maybe remove some things, but yeah, that's yeah.
Yes. I believe that spirituality is experiencing life, because when you experience life, you open yourself to the possibilities of learning, right? Of being able to pass those tests.
Yeah.
And it really all it is. And okay, what we're saying is like, you don't need to be like us, where you sit down and like take out all your books and you read all your books and you write in your journals. Like, you don't have to be obsessed with wisdom the way I am, because like I don't expect anybody to be. I see people live their life and they can be living more spiritual than I am because they're living from their core. They're experiencing life. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to have an understand. I'm literally like so meta and like so philosophical.
Philosophical.
Yeah,
You got it.
that one.
Yeah.
I got it.
That one.
You know, that word.
That word.
Because I love understanding my relationships with everything. Like my relationship with this pen versus my plants, like it's completely different, but maybe in some way I'm projecting some kind of other relationship onto it. We're constantly seeing life through filters that have been added through generations or through different experiences in life. And what we're doing in our spiritual work is we're noticing, we're having the awareness of like, oh, I've had classes on this whole time. Like, that's so silly. Like, I can take these off, right? And being able to notice that these filters are here. They don't make you better. They don't make you worse. And when you get rid of one, life changes. And then you get to experience life in a new way. And then you get to connect to life in a new way. And you can get to build relationships in a new way. And that's how it never stops, is because you're constantly experiencing life. You're changing filters. You're like, oh, I really like the really happy one. It's like, oh, but this one's really metal and I love it. I love it. It's super hardcore. Like, you just have different versions of yourself that you're experiencing life through. And that's all you came here to do, is just be like, I'm here to receive everything you're willing to give and experience it. Like, I'm here to be a walking prayer of thank you and I need more. Thank you and I want more because I want to give more.
Yeah. And okay, so I'm going to touch upon two things that you said. One is, we all experience spirituality differently. It is our very, our soul resonates with multiple things, but that doesn't mean that everyone resonates at that same frequency and with those same things. Like, I am the kind of person who can listen to emo stuff and I can listen to really old retro Hindi music as well. And like Rabindra Sangeet, and I can listen to hundreds of things, but I can't listen to metal to save my life. Like, I can, but I don't want to, but there's probably someone else out there who loves it because that's their way of expression. So spirituality, like we said, it's just a way of experiencing and expressing whatever we have experienced. And so everyone experiences it differently. That's all there is to it. You don't have to have a particular way of experiencing it. There are days when I don't experience spirituality at all. And there are days when I am the most fed up. Like, I was in a very different zone, mind space today morning. And then I just sat outside and I was just there. I was just being. And, I let all of that out, at least in my mind. I let all of those emotions out. I spoke about it. I let it be. And then I experienced that space of, and that is spirituality for me. So everyone experiences, you probably might experience it hundreds of different ways in your entire lifetime, if not more. We all experience it differently. And the second thing you said about the glasses. Okay. So we need to understand this. Sometimes trauma is passed on without it being a trauma, right? So for example, like, I have vision, like I have sight issues. Like, I wear glasses. Oh my God, words. I wear glasses because I can't see that clearly after a point of time. I don't have them now because I lost them, but we wear glasses to correct our vision so that we can see 20/20. This wearing glasses might help me see things a bit more clearly, might not give me, it won't give me migraine and all of that stuff. But if I give those same glasses to a kid who has never worn them, who doesn't need them, they're probably going to get headache from it. They're probably going to be like, I can't see that clearly. And a lot of times that also shows up as generational trauma, is that I had to wear glasses so that I could see clearly. But my kid probably doesn't, but they're still wearing the glasses because they have that thing, that information in their mind that we need to wear glasses if you want to see clearly. But maybe they don't. And that's all spirituality is. Do you need glasses or do you not need them? Are they helping you see clearly or are they not helping you see clearly? It's just a way of reconnecting with yourself so that there are multiple layers of it, but it's just a way of reconnecting with yourself so that you can experience life and express it in the best way possible.
I love that. I really like that analogy because if you like literally if you give a baby glasses, like the glasses that like if your mother handed you glasses when you were a baby, you would wake up and like realize you were wearing them, take them off and become disoriented, right? You'd be like, whoa, I can see, or like I can't see, right? Like something's different. Like it's so different than what I'm used to. And I feel like that's what the work, like why the work is, it seems difficult. It has this sense of disorientation and cognitive dissonance and confusion that kind of like tags along, because when we don't have that full trust in ourselves and in our light, in the light, and in, you know, like our ability to constantly be like have the universe like holding our backs and like having our net, like it's like you're fine, like regardless of what happens, you're fine, I'm going to catch you. If we don't have full faith, full trust in that, then when we become disoriented, we just fall and we're like, whoa, I don't like this. This is scary. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't see anything. I don't know how long I've been like this. Does everybody else know? Like we start getting lost and asking these questions of how do I repair everything that's happened while also being okay with who I am now, while also painting a picture for my future, right? So it's like the work that we do is I like that what you said, like spirituality is experiencing and expressing, because that's like perfectly put, like very like concise, and I love that. The work that we do often pulls us away from spirituality because we forget that all we're here to do is experience and express. We're only here to experience an enriching life and express what that is and share it with others. And the second that we start saying like, I need to heal in order to feel better because I'm disoriented, I'm going to put on a bunch of different kinds of glasses until I find one that finally works, instead of allowing your eyes to naturally like come back to where they need to be. Like that urgency, that's trauma.
That's
Like
trauma.
that's trauma. That's the sick system that we've been a part of our whole life that we're trying to change. And I feel like it's important to remember that anytime you're allowing yourself those moments where you get to sit in your garden, let it all out and just like breathe a sigh of relief, like that is experiencing and expressing. And that when you allow yourself those moments is when you allow more light to be revealed in the world. If no energy is lost or gained in anything, it's just transference, then all you're doing is transferring more light and transferring these dark things that we've been passed along, these dark filters that we've been passed down, and saying, I'm going to turn this into something better because I know I can.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I just want to say one last thing, which is, you know, it is terrifying. It is very disorienting, because we have been wearing glasses all our life, and suddenly someone comes along and tells us you don't have to wear the glasses. That makes us feel defensive, because one, how dare they? And two, oh shit, why have I been doing this for so long? There's a better way. So what we tend to do is, you know what, I'm gonna bash the other person up for suggesting the fact that I could have a better life. And two, I'm gonna bash myself up, but also make myself believe that no, this is my reality. This is why a lot of times, when even when you are spiritually awakened, you go back, you repress, you go back to the no comfort. I don't care. I might be a bit blind, but it's better being blind than going out there and seeing the world from a new side. Because what am I going to see? What if I don't like it? Better to be blind than to see life, you know? So, yeah, it is terrifying, but it's fun.
It's terrifying until you remember that it's not.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
expanding.
it's a constant, right? Like it's terrifying and then it's okay. Then it's terrifying and then it's okay. And as you're bouncing back and forth between those emotions, that's when you start. It's not that you become like numb or anything. You just become aware of how your body's reacting to your external circumstances, and you don't allow yourself to fall trap of the thoughts that might come up. You're just like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Like, I wonder what's gonna happen next. Like, that's really great. Like, if I don't wake up tomorrow, like, crazy.
Crazy.
Wild time. If I wake up tomorrow, wild.
Yeah.
Crazy. I get to keep going. Like it's
Yeah.
it's all about understanding that everything will change and we're
Mm.
here to experience and express the best that we can. Leave it at that.
Boo, we'll leave it at
Team.
that. Go team. This is, oh my God, I honestly didn't think we would go so deep into so many wonderful things, but such a pleasure to do this with you, G. Oh my
Yes,
God.
likewise.
End of season 1. Stay tuned for season 2. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking around till the end.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for following along. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything you'd like to see in next season, let us know. Reach out. We'd love to talk to any of you and all of you.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all the jazz. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.